First week, all 4 games went under, and last week, all 4 games went over.
Correct, correct. So
Let's
maybe we'll see a split
Let's get to Bobby
tomorrow.
D here a little bit, my movie-going friend.
Yeah, how you doing, John?
Let's talk about Django Unleashed.
We going in to analyze this movie now.
Let's analyze it. We've got a new segment going on.
Yes, we do.
Bobby and I are
Analyze
working
this
on something
movie.
together called Analyze This Movie.
Yep, it's a new critique review TV show that we're or segments that we put on the Cool TV, and it's a weekly little thing that we do. We go and we check out the movies, we do the reviews.
Channel 97.
We share
here
it with
at Cox.
everybody on the Cool TV Channel 97. It's seen in 35 states, over 35 million viewers
That's
on this
right.
thing. It's doing good. Yeah, things are very good. So,
And you've
enough
got
of
a
that.
new show opening up called Rack and Roll.
Oh, yeah, Rack and Roll's coming to the D Hotel on February 1st. And on February 2nd, I actually just got pulled in to be De Niro's body double for the new movie Grudge match with him and Stallone. So we'll be doing that filming on the 2nd of
That's
February.
great.
You're a
Salute
big
Dave.
49ers fan, so let's talk about, let's backtrack
Yeah,
a little
let's
bit.
get to this whole
first.
thing, shall we? Enough about me. Let's
I
talk
want to
about
hear
football.
about the
Let's
49ers.
get
I want to
a
hear
little
from
bit
the
on your
49ers fan.
Your first
All right.
game, 12 noon.
Here's what it is. San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to throw a little trivia at you guys right off the bat. Nah, I'll save the trivia. San Francisco, this
tease us. What's the trivia?
Just relax. You get to
It's
what
not just us. We've got listeners.
You'll hear it in a second. Colin Kaepernick, this kid is on fire, but I'm going to tell you one thing right now. He showed where his weakness is in the very beginning. He gets too excited. He's got to calm down.
Talking about the pick six?
Yes, he needs to calm down. If he's calm from the get-go, he's going to have a solid game. This kid is not going to give anybody anything, but he can't get all crazy. He's just got to take it easy, play the game. I have a feeling the first score is going to be Kaepernick to Crabtree. That's the first
I think it's going to
touchdown.
be a field goal.
Okay, let's see.
I think it's Crabtree taking it.
Kaepernick to Crabtree.
I think it's
we
6 to
have
1?
6 to 1 on
6 to 1.
Crabtree. Yeah,
All right,
6 to 1 on
that's my
Crabtree. to
call.
score.
I'm
You
gonna
heard
go.
it here.
I'm gonna go Vern Davis.
All right, well,
Vernon
that's all right.
Davis
Let's
is
just see
10 to
Vernon
1, I
Davis. What
believe.
else he been? He's been
I
sleeping.
think the tight ends in that game both have big games.
Yeah, well, they're going to do well.
I
They'll
think
do
it'll
well.
be a field goal.
All right, now let's get back to the game thing here. All right, San Francisco, absolutely, as long as Kaepernick comes in calm. It's strange because, you know, they're going out to Atlanta. They're going to play these guys in their own home, and people are thinking, hey, Atlanta, they're at home. They're strong. They got the home team advantage or the home field advantage. And well, good luck with that because I don't think Ryan's got what it takes to pull through, especially with the Smith brothers on defense. The Niners have the strongest defense, and they've already proven it. They are where they are. I'm actually looking forward to a Harbaugh Bowl. I know it's not going to happen.
Don't
I
say
never
that.
had-
Don't
no,
say
no, no,
that.
I know
Harbaugh,
Patriots.
You open the
How
door
about
here.
we talk
That's
about
a- that's
this?
a
No
great-
matchup will produce a more dramatic Super Bowl than the San
Absolutely.
Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens. Jim Harbaugh versus John Harbaugh. It'd be a grind to endure 2 weeks of Harbaugh family profiles in the lead up to the Super Bowl. We're going to be sick of it, but it would be exciting. And by game day, we would know as much about Jim's and John's fraternal rivalry as we do about our own familial competitions. That said, when the Ravens and Niners take the field, all the pretense and manufactured storylines would fade away. What would remain is a genuinely emotionally charged showdown between teams that respectively represent the past and future of the game of football.
And what's the obvious fact there is that here they are again in the Final Four, the
Yes.
Harbaugh brothers,
We
just
were
like
looking at
last
the
year. It's
Harbaugh Bowl
amazing.
last year for potential.
It was amazing.
Well,
It's just
3 of
amazing.
the 4 teams from last year's championship series are
Absolutely.
here today.
Only
There's
one of
only,
them
only
fell
one
out.
team's missing.
Oh, it's too bad.
Bobby,
Who is it?
Bobby,
Maui?
who's missing?
I don't know. Maui, who is that that's missing this year?
My New York football
Oh,
team.
New York.
No! Oh!
We're not missing, and we appreciate you listening. We're going to be right back after this commercial
Cheap
message.
shot.
Coming
Cheap
to you
shot.
from live at
I'm just
Murphy's
saying.
Law on Flamingo, just east of Maryland Parkway. Stay